In the last video, we created a new project called Test Game. Let's go ahead and create a new level. Click on Create New. Let's name our level Level 01. Click OK. If you recall from the last video, we installed the 2 Python gems. Now, if you go up to the top and you go to Tools, down here to Other, you'll notice there's Python Console and Python Scripts. Let's go ahead and click on both of those. Notice at the bottom it opened up 2 consoles here. I can go ahead and close this other one. We're going to just focus on Python console in this video. Off in the side here, let's compress scripts, editor, essentially the assets folder here. What I'm most interested in essentially is the Qt for Python folder here. Notice there are some scripts in here. So here's this hello world script. If I double click it, it'll launch the script, or if I click this execute button, you'll see it launches the script as well. What we want to do is essentially create some scripts inside of here to start creating some Python, essentially like editor window options where we can add a tool to the menu or create menus that we can use as tech artists. What we can do is right click here on this hello world one, for instance, and click edit. Mine will open in Visual Studio Code. And if we go up to the top here and go to edit and go down to editor settings and do global preferences, you'll notice there's a section here called files, and down here it says external editors, script editors. Mine is set to VS Code, so just go ahead and point this to wherever your VS Code executable or your code executable is located. All right, so let's go ahead and right click on Hello World here and click Edit in the bottom right hand corner and let Visual Studio Code open. Now I have a bunch of Python extensions installed. When you install O3DE, it should install a bunch of Python source like code and stuff to get it running, but you might have to install some other things if you find that you have errors. VS Code will prompt you for that. But what I did is if you just type in Python here, you can see there's Python IntelliSense. I installed that and a few others. There's also some modules for PySide, and you might have to restart to get some of this stuff going. So, or rather Qt for Python. We'll get into this stuff in a second, but you can see there's Qt for Python here. I installed that. So let's go ahead and close this. I'm actually going to rename this to window. So let's do file save as, and then instead of hello world here, I'm just going to type in window, because the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is create a window. So let's go ahead and hit save, and I'm going to hit Control A to select all, and then the delete key on my keyboard to delete it. Now I'm assuming that you don't have much experience with Python, so I'm going to take this from a very basic level. If you don't have experience with PySide, it might help to kind of get a refresher. I'm not going to go deep into what each term means or each class or library, but for now we'll do like a nice overview, give you a nice base that you can build on. Now, before we get into writing the Python UI code, we're going to be using Qt. Now, you can see here that it says you can use it to design beautiful interfaces, code with powerful tools, and build for all platforms. Now, Qt isn't just, a lot of people think that it's just built for user interfaces. It's not. You can develop a lot of different types of applications with it. Now, in order to use Qt with Python, we're going to be using PySide. So let's take a look at how we can import that in. Now, we're going to be using PySide. Now, if you're not familiar with PySide 2 or any of the subsequent numbers up to 6, what it allows you to do is, as I mentioned Qt before, it allows you to use Qt inside of Python. So let's take a look at how we can import in some of the UI features that we're going to need from Qt using Python. As mentioned before, we access some of the Qt libraries in Python using PySide. So here we are using PySide 2 to access the Qt widgets that we want to create a new window with. Then we import in the QMainWindow class. Now, if you're not familiar with classes, that's okay. We're going to create a class in the next video. Creating a window is fairly straightforward. We create a variable called window and assign it the QMainWindow method within the class. In order to show the window, we just do window dot and then we use our show method. Back in O3DE, if we double click the script or click the execute button in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see that it launches a new window. At the top, you'll see that it has a title that reads O3DE editor. Let's change our title. Python is a sequential language, so we want to edit the title in order of the window's creation. Let's create a space below where we created our window, and then above where we launched our window. If you recall, it was window.show. Let's type window.setWindowTitle with a set of parentheses. Within the parentheses, let's give our window a label indicating to the user what its purpose is. I'd like to create a little tech art app, and what that means is I want to create an app that technical artists or other artists can use to load 3D models in our scene. So I'm going to label my window Model Loader. Back in O3DE, let's run the script again and observe the title change. That essentially concludes what we're going to be doing in this video. In the next video, we'll take a look at creating some buttons, talking about classes and methods.